Shalom. Shalom from the shack. This is the shack. I get a sense from people nowadays and from myself that there's this anxiety that people often feel about not letting things fall through the cracks. Life can be so complicated, so many balls up in the air, and there's this tension, there's this stress about making sure that all these different complicated pieces don't fall through the cracks. It's a big job living in this culture, living this life at this time. So what's the remedy? In our practice, the idea is actually to let yourself fall through the cracks. And by cracks, I mean places in your seemingly solid cistern of self where there are weak spots, places where the self is losing integrity already. It's good spiritually not to have such a solid sense of self. You don't need absolute confidence. You don't need absolute self-esteem. Actually, the cracks in your sense of self are the places where, if you allow the contracted energy that's being held as a result of living this complex life, allow that energy to uncontract. Allow your sense of self, the material that we normally think about as self, to seep through those cracks, to just drain out, so that there's nothing there, there's nothing left, there's just this open space. And that space is radiant, it's alive, it's beautiful, it's not tense. And in and of itself, it is not seeking something, but is open. There was a Hasidic master, Rabbi Aharon of Karlin, and his disciples came and asked him what he learned, what was the most important thing he learned from his master, who was the Maggid of Mezrish. And he said, I learned absolutely nothing. I said, what do you mean? How could you say that you didn't learn anything from your master? He said, I didn't say that I didn't learn anything. I said I learned the most important thing. I learned absolute nothing, absolute nothingness. I learned how to be nothing, that ultimately I am nothing. And that this nothingness is freedom. What a relief just to be nothing. And yet the miracle is, here I am, in this body, living this life, things are happening. But in living our activities in all of this somethingness as nothing, then the lightness, the radiance, the beauty of that nothing can come through, can be felt and expressed to whatever degree we are able to express it in our personalities, which may be flawed and wounded, but nevertheless there's this inner resource that is whole not as in something solid that needs to be bolstered up like an ego, like a sense of self, but rather just a radiant lightness that comes through, that is what all of your inner world is ultimately made out of anyway. So may it be for you, may it be for all of us, to let ourselves more and more fall through the cracks, to allow this flowering to unfold. Have a wonderful day.